Part 14. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 132. Chapter 132, Can you still get up? I'm fine. Mei Shui shook her head. Uncle Zhao, do you want these wild boars? Boss Zhao's voice was very loud, and the diners in the store were already startled by his howling. Several familiar people gathered around. Boss Zhao, this is a good thing. Do you think you can share some with me? Yes, I want it too, I want it too. No one regards themselves as outsiders. Everyone, get out of here and leave, Boss Zhao shouted. Xiaoxiu, follow me. Ignoring the looks of the werewolves behind him, he led Xiaoxiu directly into his backyard. Xiaoxiu, are you here alone today? Where is my aunt? Boss Zhao asked quickly as he pushed into the yard. Auntie actually dared to let Xiaoxiu enter the county alone. How dare she, and she brought so many wild boars with her. Well, it's too cold, and grandma is at home. Mei Shui's attitude towards people who care about her grandma will be somewhat better. Not to mention that every time Uncle Zhao came to the village to bring food, he never had nothing to offer. No matter whether the food was high or low, he was always considerate. Yes, it's such a cold weather, don't let my aunt freeze now, drink some water quickly, these wild boar uncles won't let you suffer. There are so many, but it's just this girl. If it had been anyone else, she would have only had several strong men. Thank you, Uncle Zhao. Mei Shui could still tell the difference between good and bad. After the wild boar was weighed, Boss Zhao calculated the money and gave it to Mei Shui. The total was 2,200 yuan, which Boss Zhao calculated at $1.20 per caddy. Mei Shui was not polite and took the money directly. She was also hungry. After having lunch at Uncle Zhao's shop, she went to find He-An's. Uncle Zhao did not keep her, but sent Mei Shui to He-An's personally. Fortunately, the new year is coming soon, and the team is busy with more and more things. The sports car does not dare to go too far. He-An's can make a round trip every day. When Mei Shui came, He-An's came back just in time. At the gate, He-An stopped the car and said, Xiaoxiu. He jumped out of the car and ran to Mei Shui. Mei Shui was just asking the old man at the door about He-An's when she heard his voice coming from behind her. Haha, the old man laughed when he saw how intimate the young couple were. This is the second time Boss Zhao has seen He-An's. The young man looks pretty good, but his face is a little darker and his body is a little thinner. Overall, he is not worthy of Xiaoxiu. But he is not that kind of troublesome person, Xiaoxiu. Since he is back, the uncle has returned to the store. If you need anything, you can go directly to the store to see the uncle. They have also been found, and Boss Zhao has to go back and keep an eye on the store. Thank you, Uncle Zhao. You go and do your work first. I will definitely visit you and Aunt Jian when I have time, Mei Shui responded. Okay, I'll call you Ans to take good care of Xiaoxiu. If you need anything, go to my uncle's shop to see him, Boss Zhao said a little uncomfortably. Well, thank you, Uncle Zhao. He-An's knew Boss Zhao, and he was very kind to his grandma. No, I'm fine. After seeing off Boss Zhao, He-An's pulled Mei Shui into the car. There was one other person in the car. This kind of truck can hold 3 people. Xiaoxiu, this is my friend, you can just call him Xiaofi. Xiaofi was met by He-An's in the county town. There was also a man named Fang Kai with them, and Xiaofi's real name was Li Fei. Because he is the youngest among the 3, everyone usually calls him Xiao Fei. Hello, sister-in-law. Li Fei saw someone coming up, and just now he heard brother he calling someone Xiaoxiu. He thought it was his newly married wife. Hello. Mei Shui nodded politely. The car drove directly into the convoy. There was still goods on the car. The goods were brought in from other places by He-An's and Li Fei and Fang Kai. Not anything expensive, some simple electronic watch. This thing is also a novelty, and the price is between 50 and more than 100. No, the Chinese New Year is coming, and they plan to change hands to make some New Year's money. Xiao Fei, you go back first, call Fang Kai later, and let's have dinner together. Hians has his own house in the motorcade, and he lives here on weekdays. Okay, brother I'll leave first. Li Fei put 2 bags on his back. Sister-in-law, I'm leaving. Good. After sending the people away, Hians took Mei Shui to his small room and said, Zioxiu, it's simple here. You take a rest first, and I'll take a shower. I'm covered in ashes. They not only drive to deliver goods, but sometimes still have to move stuff. Hians is a bit like Mei Shui in this regard, they love to be clean. Go Mei Shui also had a backpack on her back, which contained food prepared for him by her grandma. Grandma he also wanted the young couple to stay together for a few more days. The bathing place is not far away, just not far from the house. These are all cement bungalows, which are as clean as the floor rooms in the countryside. But it's cold and not as warm as a floor house. Mei Suihuan looked at the room. There was a bed, a wardrobe opposite the bed, and not even a place to cook. Mai Xiu frowned. She didn't expect the environment here to be so bad. The man took a shower very quickly, and within a few minutes Hians walked in with wet hair. Xiaomei, are you cold? Hians knew the scene in the room. It was a bit cold here. Normally he wouldn't feel it when he was alone. It's okay, I'm not cold. She wore many clothes. Hians looked at Mei Shui's little appearance, his heart moved, and he hugged her directly. Zioxiu, why did you come to me? This made him happy and excited. The trembling hands hugged the person in his arms tightly. I don't know if it was an illusion, but after being hugged by him like this, Mei Shui could clearly feel the difference in her body. The bones were weak and the muscles were numb, and the hair on the table was standing on end, which made her very uncomfortable. Can you let me go? Her voice also changed. It's a pity that Mei Shui didn't realize this herself. Seeing her abnormality, Hians was happy. Daughter-in-law, I miss you so much. After saying that, Hians hugged the person directly like a wolf in heat. Mei Shui was stunned. What are you doing? She could imagine what would happen next, but... Zioxiu, I miss you so much. It would be nothing for him to come back anyway, and if his wife came to see him, she would definitely need to relieve her lovesickness. He was also sure that she could not resist him in this regard. Whether it was because of his grandma or himself, Hians was the one who suffered in the end. Soon, a harmonious sound came from the room. The wind outside made a whistling sound. I wonder if it was an illusion. The wind seemed to be covering up the people inside the house. The sound was not inferior to that inside the house at all. After dark, Hians got up from the small bed and looked at the person next to him who was glaring at him with angry eyes. He leaned down and pecked her directly on the mouth. Can you still get up? I made an appointment with Xiaofei and the others to have dinner together tonight. Hian's words were full of tenderness. Don't forget to vote. Thank you. Again, typos will be corrected when the author is finished, so don't rush. Please recommend votes, monthly votes, and rewards, thank you. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 133. Chapter 133, Xiajia. Mei Shui pushed the person on her body away with one palm and said, "Get out." She stood up and pulled her clothes over. After the two of them packed up, they went directly to the place where Hians and the other three usually met. They don't have much money, so it's impossible for them to go to a restaurant like Boss Zhao. They will sit at some noodle stalls or some small restaurants. When they saw the person coming, Li Fei and Fang Kai stood up and said, "Brother, congratulations, sister-in-law." Hians took Mei Shui's hand and sat down beside him. "Sit down, aren't you tired of standing? We are all our own people, do we need to be polite?" "Hello sister-in-law," This is my first time meeting you. I don't have anything for you. I'm giving this to you. I hope you like it. Fang Kai is a talkative person, and he is also a careful person. He selected a good-looking electronic watch from this shipment and handed it over. Mei Shui glanced at He An's, and when he nodded, Mei Shui thanked him and took it. Thank you. Okay, don't be so polite. Have you got food in the store? We are hungry, He An said with understanding. He knew what they meant, but he felt that they were overthinking it. His daughter-in-law was a big landowner and had more money than them. She would not have any objections to using that little money by herself. No, I know my sister-in-law is coming, so I asked her to order some. Everyone likes to hear polite words. Mei Shui is the same. I like to eat meat. What she said is truthful and straightforward. However, these two friends of He An's can be regarded as accepting their existence. It's okay, my aunt's braised pork is excellent, my sister-in-law will need to eat more later, Li Fei continued. Hearing this, Mei Shui was eager to try. She glanced at He An's and saw that he nodded seriously. Mei Shui smiled, then I want 2 portions. He An's narrowed his eyes and said, okay, 2 copies. I ordered 4 or 5 dishes, and they were all served in a short time. Sister-in-law, please eat quickly. They were also hungry. No matter what happens, let's fill our stomachs first. After the meal, the 3 of them began to talk about the goods they had purchased this time. Meixiu listened carefully and did not interrupt. Of course, she didn't understand either. After being tired all afternoon, her eyelids started to tremble. Mei Shui half closed her eyes, and soon she leaned against He An's. He An's and the others had just finished talking about their business, when he was pressed down by a force of gravity and looked aside. Thinking of what happened in the afternoon, He An's pupils sank. Okay, I may still have to get out of the car in the next few days, so you can work harder during the day. If the goods are easy to move, then I will go get some more and bring them back. It's getting late today. I'll go back and rest first. He knew that she was tired this afternoon. Of course the 2 of them had no objection. Okay, brother He, please go back with your sister-in-law first. Of course, brother He couldn't give the meal money. Back at the hut, He An's called Mei Shui, but unfortunately he could not wake her up. In the end, I had to help her take off her clothes, otherwise she would be uncomfortable sleeping. After a good sleep, when Mei Shui woke up, the place around her was already cold, and there was a piece of paper beside her pillow. It says, I went to get out of the car, wait for me when I come back. Mei Shui looked amused. Unknowingly, he slowly walked into her life and into her heart. Mei Shui's heartbeat sped up inexplicably as she looked at this word. Life in the county town is actually boring. Of course, this is Mei Shui's idea, but the Chinese New Year is not long and she has to buy something for her family. He An's happened to be not at home, so she went to the mall to buy everything. Grandma has recently fallen in love with snacks, and Mei Shui buys a lot of them. Uncle Shi and Boss Jian always bring some back, so there is really no shortage at home. But after all, someone else bought them, and Mei Shui also wanted to fulfill her filial piety, so she went to buy a lot of uneaten snacks for her grandma. Not only that, I also prepared 2 pairs of cotton shoes and a set of woolen clothes for grandma. Not only the grandma, but this time Mei Shui was also prepared for He An's for the first time. Yesterday, she noticed that he didn't wear too many warm clothes. She didn't know why, and Mei Shui didn't want to ask more. It happened to be available here, so Mei Shui bought 2 for He An's. It has everything inside and out, and it cost a lot of money. But it's okay, she has money. Last time, she accepted the radio from An Wen and his wife, and Mei Shui also planned to reciprocate the gift. She thought the electronic watch was good, and it cost dozens of yuan, which was not expensive, so she gave them 1 piece each. The one that Fang Kai gave him yesterday was pretty good, and it looked like it was worn by a woman. While wandering around, Mei Shui discovered the 2 people she met last night. On the small table in front of them was the electronic watch that Fang Kai had given her last night. Mei Shui came out with a backpack on her back. There were a lot of things, but the backpack could fit them all. After getting closer and observing for a while, Mei Shui found that there were a lot of people watching, but not many people to buy. "Give me 2 pieces, one for men and one for women," she said directly to the 2 of them. The 2 heard the sound and were about to call someone when Mei Shui interrupted them. "Hurry up, boss, I have to rush back to cook." After the 2 met, they knew what the sister-in-law meant. "Okay, these 2 yuan are the latest, and we have just started this business. Let's consider these 2 yuan cheaper for you, so you can give me 80 yuan. This price is still profitable." They thought that Mei Shui was cooperating with them, so they offered this price, otherwise they would definitely give it away for free. "Okay, please help me find a box to put it in when it is used as a gift, it must be packaged well." Yes, each of these electronic watches has a small paper box, which is very exquisite. Fang Kai was a discerning person and immediately took out 2 boxes, one pink and one sky blue. As soon as it was taken out, many people looked at it. After installing it, Mei Shui took out the money and handed it over. This is the benefit of entrustment. As soon as Mei Shui gave her money, the little girl next to her also became excited. She also liked the white watch, but it was a bit expensive and she couldn't make up her mind. How can she bear it when someone starts to make a move now? "So, boss, I want this, but you also have to get me a box to put it in." "Okay, I'll give it to you, little girl." "Boss, I want this." "Boss, give this to me." When Mei Shui left, they managed to sell 2 or 3 yuan. Having bought almost everything, Mei Shui sent her home and then went to the market to buy a coal stove. People in the city didn't burn firewood, so there was mainly no firewood. They all burned media for 2 cents apiece. Mei Shui bought a stove and bought 50 yuan of media. Pots and bowls are indispensable. A home is different when it has a mistress, and it will soon change drastically. A small room of more than 10 square meters has been neatly tidied up. The cooking was left outside, and if she cooked in the house, the bed would be filled with the smell of oil smoke, which Mei Shui couldn't bear. "Don't forget to vote." "Thank you." Again, typos will be corrected when the author is finished, so don't rush. Please recommend votes, monthly votes, and rewards, thank you. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 134. Chapter 134, Friends. Fortunately, everyone living around is like this and she is not alone. It was afternoon in a blink of an eye, and Hans could smell the aroma of rice when he came back, but he didn't think it was his own, because he didn't have anything at home. Stepping into the small bungalow from the small intersection, Hans felt a little dazzled and tears filled his eyes unconsciously. That extremely familiar figure appeared in his eyes. That's his wife. Her wife is cooking. No wonder it's so fragrant. There were several sisters-in-law not far away from her who were talking to their daughter-in-law, but she was perfunctory. He saw all the movements and glanced at the sky. He didn't know if he wanted to suppress his tears, but Hans smiled. "Xiaoxiu, I'm back." After approaching, Hans felt warm in his heart. "You're back just in time, help me bring the dishes in." After hearing this, Mei Shui didn't even look back and directly handed the dishes that had just been served to him. Hans's heart trembled slightly. Okay. In the house, 2 dishes and 1 soup were placed on a small table. With the dish in my hand, it was exactly 3 dishes and 1 soup. The rice is cooked in a small black pot and placed on the edge of the table. The smell of rice aroused the greed in Hans's stomach. This table of dishes touched the deepest softness in Hans's heart. making his whole heart twitch. Perhaps he married her because of his grandma at first. Later, when he saw her again, he was attracted by her temperament. Until now, he felt that he had settled in his heart. "What are you doing standing there stupidly? Why don't you hurry up and put in the food?" After cleaning up the outside, Mei Shui walked in with a clean pot in her hand, and saw the man standing there stupidly, looking at the food on the table. When he is hungry, doesn't he know how to eat first? Hearing the voice, Hians came back from his trembling. "Xiaoxiu, wife, thank you for giving me a complete home, thank you for coming to my side, thank you for the softness you gave me." Mei Shui looked at his excited eyes and curled her lips. "You're welcome." At this time, she no longer envied him. That's right, Mei Shui has always been jealous of Hians in her heart, always envied him, envied an elder who was as good as her grandma. Having been in this other world for so long, Mei Shui's heart was actually filled with Hians competing for Grandma He's favor. Sometimes when she saw her grandma missing Hians, she actually felt a little disappointed. Now, he seemed to be more uncomfortable than herself, but she accepted him in her heart. "Okay, the food is almost cold. Aren't you hungry?" Mei Shui said as she broke away from Hian's arms. "Hungry? I'm starving to death. How can such delicious food make people hungry?" Mei Shui gave him a big look. "You're hungry and you don't know how to serve the rice. Why don't you wait for me to feed you?" This man is like a fool. A home-cooked dinner brought the two of them closer to each other, and turned them from real strangers into relatives. "I met your friend today," Mei Shui said casually while eating. Xiao Fei and the others, Hians was stunned. Didn't they go to set up a stall today? They brought back so many electronic watches, and I don't know if their business is good today. Well, they are setting up a street stall. Mei Shui was a little confused. Can a watch be sold at a high price if it is sold on the table? Yes, we brought back a lot of electronic watches from other places. It's almost the Chinese New Year, so we can make some New Year's money. When he said this, Hian's face became resentful. "Xiaoxiu, how can you be so capable? Can I do it well? As long as she is capable, she can raise her grandma well and make her live a better life." "Okay, my wife is the most capable." Hians knew what was good and what was bad, so he couldn't just let his wife rest at home just because she earned more than he did. Besides, is Mei Shui the kind of person he can control? "Eat your food quickly." Mei Shui glared at Hians. "If you are not happy here, go home. Life at home is better than here." In the end, Mei Shui said something distressed. "Okay, let me think about it. If it doesn't work, then, go home." After a meal, it was still not too late. Hians was also worried about Xiaofei and the others, so he took Mei Shui's hand and said, "Xiaoxiu, let's go see Xiaofei and the others, shall we?" "Oh, you go ahead." She didn't really want to move. "Won't you come with me?" "Want me to go with you?" "Of course, you are my wife." So, Mei Shui and Hians walked out of the bungalow area hand in hand. Xiao Fei and the others are all locals, but the conditions at home are not very good. They live not far away, and Hians doesn't have a bicycle. Fortunately, the two of them arrived in a short walk. "Xiao Fei, are you at home?" Hians called into the door after arriving. As soon as he finished speaking, a female voice came from the room. "Is Brother Ziyi here?" Soon, a teenage girl ran out. But when she saw Mei Shui next to Hians, the smile on her face faded. "This is sister-in-law." He quickly approached and said, "Brother Ziyi and sister-in-law, come in quickly." Open the door. This little girl is Xiao Fei's younger sister. She is only 17 years old this year and is no longer in school. However, her family's conditions are difficult, so Xiao Fei helped her find a temporary job as a sanitation worker in a factory. The work is quite easy, but the salary is not high. When Mei Shui heard the sound of Brother Ziyi, her hand let go of Hian's palm. Looked at him. Hians was a little embarrassed. Normally he didn't think it was a big deal, but today for some reason, he always felt a little awkward in front of his wife. "It's Xiao, you're going to get off work." Hians held Mei Shui's hand again. "Well, brother Zi, come in quickly, it's very windy outside." She saw brother Zi's actions just now and felt a little sad. She knew about brother Zi's marriage, but she always thought that brother Zi would look down on a rural girl, but she didn't expect it. Looking at the two people walking in front, Li Yu touched his face and the clothes on his body, and immediately felt uncomfortable. Walking into the house, he saw Li Fei and Fang Kai counting money there. Not to mention, it was quite a lot. "Hey, I've counted them all. It seems that business is good today." Hians was happy as soon as he came in. Meixiu's hand was also released. Just now he felt that he shouldn't let go, but now, he had to let go. When they saw someone coming in, the two of them immediately stood up from their stools. "Brother He, sister-in-law, are you here? Have you eaten? Our business is very good today, let's go and eat outside." Fang Kana shouted excitedly. Li Fei also had the same excited expression. "That's it, let's go out and eat." If my sister-in-law hadn't taken the lead today, they might not have been able to sell so much. The price is still so high. I've eaten." Mei Shui shook her head and found a place to sit down. She was a little curious as to why there was no adult in this family. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 135. Chapter 135, Help, Please Vote. But she also knew that this was someone else's private matter and she wasn't familiar with it, so she didn't ask any more questions. Hians walked to the pile of money and said, "We have eaten here, haven't you eaten yet?" The two shook their heads, "Not yet, we just came back." Li Yu walked in and said, "We've cooked at home, but my parents haven't come back yet. Do you want brother Zi and sister-in-law to have something to eat together?" No matter how uncomfortable he felt, he still knew how to be polite. "No, uncle and aunt are not back yet. Li Fei's parents are not in good health and cannot enter the market. On weekdays, they usually pick up scraps from old houses or factories and sell them at the recycling station. Those who come back will also come later in the evening. Come on, my parents will be back soon." Li Fei sat down where he was before and picked up the money on the table. "Brother He, do you know how much we sold today?" It's no wonder Li Fei was so excited. They really had a good start today and made their money back in no time. No wonder brother He was right when he said that there was money to be made from this. Hians has seen a lot of money. His wife earned more than this. "I don't know." He shook his head. "Haha, we have made back all our capital today, and we still have a lot of goods in hand. When we sell them all, each of us can earn hundreds of dollars." Fang Kai also became excited. "As long as I have grown up, I have never made so much money by myself." When Hians heard that it was a few hundred yuan, Hians no longer paid much attention to the money. He walked to Mei Shui and sat down. "How many goods are left? Do you want to take some back? I just have to go there tomorrow. In the past few days, they all run that route." "Of course I want it, haha, brother He, I'll give you this money. We'll turn all the money into goods and sell them until the Chinese New Year. We will definitely earn more by then." Li Fei also became excited. Mei Shui has no interest in the business they do. She can only earn so much by working the street for a day, which is not as much as she can earn by playing in the mountains for a day. By the way, Mei Shui frowned as if she had forgotten something. "I don't care to listen to them anymore." After thinking for a while, Mei Shui remembered that she originally planned to sell a ginseng stick, but unfortunately, she forgot about it. However, after calculating the money she had, she couldn't even come close to buying the mountain behind her. After Hians left tomorrow, she would go find Uncle Zhao. She still believes in Uncle Zhao's character and will definitely not cheat her. After Hians and the others decided to pick up the goods, they looked at the sky and realized that it was getting late, so they plan to go back. Hyun still has a mission. He has to let his wife conceive a child. Every time he does this, his wife looks suspicious of him, which makes him very sad. Okay, Zioxu and I will go back first. It's getting dark. Hyun stood up and said. By the way, brother please wait a moment. Li Fei stopped Hyun's and took out 80 yuan from the money on the table. Sister-in-law, thank you for helping us get started today. He handed the money directly to Mei Shui. Mei Shui was a little confused. Why do you give me money? She likes money, but she didn't earn it herself, so she can't ask for it. Huh, this made Li Fei and Fang Kai a little confused. Didn't my sister-in-law help us transport goods today? They thought it was brother who ordered it. Oh, you said it's a watch, then I bought it as a gift. A cousin in my family just got married, so I gave it to them as a meeting gift. They bought a radio for my grandma. When his cousin got married, Ans knew he was talking about An Wen, but he didn't expect to receive such an expensive gift. Mei Shui saw him looking at her, so she explained, An Wen bought a radio for grandma before she got married. Hyans understood, that's a gift in return. Then he looked at Li Fei and the two of them, okay, I'll treat this watch as if it was bought by your sister-in-law. Hyans was a little busy before the Chinese New Year and couldn't go home last month, so he didn't attend An Wen's wedding. There is nothing we can do about it, work is more important. Back in his cabin, Hyans asked Mei Shui about the radio. Originally, the money was used to buy gold for An Wen's wife, but An Wen's wife took the initiative and bought a radio for grandma. I thought the electronic watch was pretty good, so I bought 2 pieces for them as a return gift. Why did grandma just accept such a valuable thing? Hyans generally didn't like to owe favors to the villagers. Whether it's a cousin you have or someone else. To the people in the village, he suffered a lot of grievances when he was a child. This is why he wanted to take his grandma out of the village. He knows everything about his own family. Why don't you accept it? Mei Shui looked at Hyans. This is the filial piety he should give. In Mei Shui's heart, An Wen and An Liang were filial piety. In grandma's words, she helped them so much, so what's wrong with being filial to grandma? Congratulations to An's Fang. Daughter-in-law, do you know why I don't like staying in the village? Hyans pulled Mei Shui to sit by the bed, intending to tell her about the family affairs. Who knows? I know, grandma told me about grandpa and my parents. If grandma hadn't looked away, she would have planned to help her out. This time it was Hyan's turn to be a little confused. Grandma has told you. I told you, grandma, look away. Otherwise, do you think I will make grandma unhappy for others? Mei Shui said seriously, no one can hurt grandma, including you. Seeing that Mei Shui was so serious, Hyans felt happy but also a little sad. Zioxu, that's my grandma. She half-hugged Mei Shui. My grandma. Mei Shui quit. So what does it mean to be your grandma? Yes, it's our grandma, Hyans immediately said, perhaps feeling the aura of Mei Shui. So don't worry, I won't let grandma be wronged in the village. What's so good about being in the city is that it's not as fun as being in the village. This is Mei Shui's true words. When she is unhappy, she can go out and find something to do to have fun. When she is happy, she can go into the mountains to earn some money for her grandma and come back to count it. How nice. You really don't like coming to the city. This is the first person Hyans has ever seen who doesn't like the city. Yes, I don't like it, I really don't like it, Mei Shui said firmly. Well, let's live in the village, Zioxu. When we have money next year, we can renovate the old house. He wanted to give her the best. I think so too. The young couple began to plan their future. In this way, Mei Shui stayed in the county town for almost 6 or 7 days. The new year was getting closer and closer, and she became more and more anxious to return home. Ever since Uncle Zhao helped her sell a ginseng root, she had enough money to go back and expand her home. She no longer wanted to stay in the city and wanted to go home. Hyans tried to persuade her to wait for him to go back with her, but compared to her grandma, Mei Shui's grandma was more important to her, so Grandma he became the third party to the couple. Hyans had no choice but to let him go. Let's vote. Thank you for your monthly votes and recommendation votes, I love you. Asking for recommendation votes, monthly votes, and rewards. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 136. Chapter 136, Going Home. He will have another 5 or 6 days to go on holiday. In the end, Hyans couldn't even send Mei Shui off because he had to leave the car in the morning and Mei Shui had to go back in the morning. There is no rush for time. He wanted Li Fei and others to help deliver it, but Mei Shui refused. On the first day Mei Shui left, Hyans came back at night and felt very disappointed. This small family had lost the warmth and joy of yesterday. Meixiu, on the other hand, arrived home that afternoon and was warmly welcomed by her grandma. My dear, Zayas hasn't taken good care of you these days. Look how thin you are, grandma. He couldn't hide the distress on her face when she saw Xiaoxiu. Mei Shui felt warm in her heart. Grandma, I'm not thin, I'm fine. Being cared about by her grandma, Mei Shui was happier than she was in the city. How come you're not thin? Look, there's no fat on your face, grandma. He opened her eyes and said, nonsense. Can Mei Shui still allow herself to be wronged? Then grandma, help me replenish it, Mei Shui coaxed. Of course, let's go. Grandma has stewed these pig's trotters for you to eat. You need to add some meat, otherwise it won't look good. This may be a common problem among the elderly. The younger members of the family will feel thinner when they come back from outside. Meixiu brought back a lot of things this time. Of course, there was also a lot of money in the space, but she didn't dare to give it all to her grandma for fear of scaring her. Mei Shui was happy when she saw Xiaobai walking around her feet. It seems that Xiaobai is still useful. Squatting down, he asked Xiaobai, has anyone said anything bad about grandma recently? Has grandma been wronged? Xiaobai was very happy to see his master barking. If he could bark, he would definitely bark. Okay, grandma, everything is fine. Some people just gossiped, but grandma took care of them at this point. Xiaobai pointed outside, that's the house opposite. Mei Shui stood up and looked down. Is that Hyuanwei's mother? Yes, that's her. Her son's name seems to be Anwei, but he's pretty good and helps grandma. Xiaobai's IQ is not low. Hey, it seems he still has some conscience. It was not in vain that I saved him. Are you sure you really saved him? Xiaobai didn't know this was happening and didn't say much. By the way, master, did you bring me something delicious this time? Ever since he stole grandma's candy, Xiaobai couldn't forget the taste. You won't steal grandma's candy again, will you? Her grandma knows every candy. No way. Xiaobai lowered his head in shyness. Meixiu was speechless. Grandma didn't notice. When Xiaobai saw his master discovering that he had stolen the candy, he immediately dared not hide it. I wrapped a small stone in candy wrapper and put it in. Mei Shui was stunned. You can really do it? You have to replace it later, otherwise Uncle Shi will be finished by then. Except for the milk candies he bought for his grandma, the other candies were all sent by Uncle Shi to Boss Jian every time. Mei Shui quickly found an excuse to go to her grandma's house. Grandma, I bought you some candies and I'll put them in the house for you. Fortunately, she bought some for her when she came back. Not only are there milk candies, but there are also chicken cakes that grandma has never eaten before, etc. Go, go, don't let Xiaobai steal my candy. Grandma. He walked over from the stove with a knife in her hand and said. He did not forget to wave the knife in his hand at Xiaobai. You can see how much grandma treasures her candies. Okay, I won't give it to eat, it belongs to grandma. Mei Shui smiled, she liked her grandma's little temper and closeness. Xiaobai felt very aggrieved. Grandma, I'm very kind to you too. Xiaobai was not afraid of the knife in grandma's hand, and walked around her, whining. Go away, Don't bother with my cabinet. I don't know if grandma knew what Ziobai meant, so she kicked it open lightly. Looking at grandma's treasure chest, I have to say that there are quite a lot of things hidden in it. Mei Shui looked at them all and found that they were not broken, so she put them back in their original places and added some food to her grandma. The news of Mei Shui's return spread among the 5 groups. Everyone knew that she had gone to find He-Ans. Seeing her coming back alone, everyone was talking about when He-Ans would come back. In addition, Mei Shui brought back a lot of things, which made everyone envious and envious. Of course, there are many happy people, such as He-An Liang. Mom, do you think your sister-in-law can go up the mountain with us tomorrow when she comes back? After the holiday, he had been going to the mountain with Anshan and others to catch fish and sell them. The income is really good. But I am more concerned about learning some skills from my sister-in-law. They like to go to the mountains to play with Mei Shui. Go, go, go. If you are not afraid that your third grandma will whip you, you can go to the mountain with your sister-in-law tomorrow. Aunt Mei Lian had given up on treating her blind son. If she could still give birth, she would like to have another son to support her in old age. Dad, look at my mother. He-An Liang looked aggrieved. Whose mother would be like his mother, expecting him to be whipped by his third grandma? Your mother is right. If you dare to ask your sister-in-law to go up the mountain tomorrow, your third grandma will whip you all day long without stopping. He will watch the show then. This son needs to be beaten. Am I still your biological child? He-An Liang cried. No, the two said in unison. I picked you up on Chaotian Mountain. Aunt Mei Lian was happy. I don't believe it. He believed it when he was a child. He actually went to find out about his biological parents and didn't come back even after dark. Later, he scared his parents half to death. He was beaten so hard that he couldn't get out of bed for 3 days. Don't think that he has forgotten what it felt like, and you want to lie to him again. There is no way. Who was not deceived by adults when he was a child and said he picked it up? Raise your hand. He-An Wen's family is almost in the same situation, but the most excited person in his family is not He-An Wen, but Li Shuang. Mei Shui went to the county town soon after she got married. After going there for several days, she couldn't get along well with her. Now that people are back, Li Shuang is looking forward to it. Mom, what do you think about me going to my sister-in-law to pick up the insoles tomorrow? Li Shuang asked, holding a new pair of insoles in his hands. Aunt Zillian smiled and glanced at Shuang. This daughter-in-law is really good. After getting married, she was very filial to herself and Jensi, putting them first in everything, unlike the Li family at all. Don't go, your third grandma is not interested enough. If you go, your third grandma will be unhappy. They all see how much my third aunt likes Xiaoxiu. Jensi was taking medicine and was suffering a lot since he got money. He-An Wen believed the third grandmother's words and went to an old Chinese doctor to prescribe medicine for his father. It took a long time to drink, but at least there is a chance of recovery. It's not like in the hospital, where painkillers are prescribed every time. Not only can they not cure the disease, they will also damage your own fundamental health in the long run. People in the village have more reason to believe in traditional Chinese medicine. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 137. Chapter 137, Please vote for recommendation, please vote for me monthly. Listen to your mother, don't go until tomorrow. Jensi put down the medicine bowl and responded. Oh, okay, then I'll pick up the insoles at home tomorrow. Li Shuang was a little disappointed. And Wen glanced at her and shook his head. How about you go for a walk in the mountains with me tomorrow? It started to get cold, and he didn't let her go up the mountain with him on weekdays. Okay, of course Li Shuang was willing. The next day, as soon as Mei Shui woke up, she went to walk around in her vegetable patch. All the vegetables were growing very gratifyingly. Before the Chinese New Year, you can ask Boss Jian to take the vegetables away, and you can get a lot of money then. Looking at her vegetable patch, Mei Shui was still a little disappointed, that is, as her grandma said, not many of her watermelons came out. Fortunately, she didn't plant much, so she ate it at home. If she had used it to sell it, she would have lost money. The watermelon grown with spiritual spring water is as sweet as the watermelon grown from spiritual spring water, but the quantity cannot be relied upon as that of spiritual spring water. So, Mei Shui still has to learn a lot about watermelon. Maybe you all know about Grandma He. On the second day after Mei Shui came back, no one came to compete with her. The mother-in-law and grandson spent the whole day getting along well at home. Xiaoxiu, don't stay in the vegetable field as soon as you come back. It's so cold, so be careful of freezing. Seeing Xiaoxiu coming back, Grandma He immediately came forward to greet her. When Mei Shui saw her grandma taking the from her hand, she smiled and said, "It's okay. The wind won't protect you from the cold wind. Grandma, those vegetables are growing really well. It seems like the boss can come and buy the goods in just these 2 days. If you wait any longer, it will be the new year." I know. I told Boss Jian last time to come and pull it early. He knows what's going on, so don't worry. Grandma He put the aside and said with a look of blame. Don't worry about others. Change your shoes first and go to the kitchen to warm up. It doesn't matter whether he comes or not, it won't delay her business. Grandma He is not afraid at all that the prices of the vegetables grown by Mei Shui will be high. She also figured out why Xiaoxiu's vegetables could be sold at such a high price. They tasted really good. A few days ago, my new daughter-in-law brought food to her door. After frying it, she found that it was not as delicious as her own food. The taste is quite different. Okay, I'll go right away. Mei Shui went to the well to wash off the mud and smiled at her grandma. At noon, because Mei Shui came back, Grandma He cooked a lot of delicious dishes for her. Looking at the dishes on the table, Mei Shui's eyes lit up. "Grandma, why did you cook so many? These are all her favorites." "You think Grandma is making a false promise when she says she will make up for it for you?" Grandma He glared at Xiaoxiu angrily. "Drink a bowl of soup to warm yourself up first, and then eat. The life in the village is quieter than that in the city. Mei Shui is more adaptable to the life in the village. Even if it is a bit boring, she feels very at ease with her grandma by her side." Meixiu was obedient and drank the soup. It was big bone soup. She brought it back yesterday for her grandma to replenish, but she didn't expect to drink it by herself today. "Grandma, you drink too. We'll be busy again later." Mei Shui pulled her grandma and sat down with her. After lunch, Mei Shui stayed at home with her grandma and didn't go anywhere. She didn't want to go find An Wen and An Liang, so she was a little surprised when they didn't come. "Grandma, this time I came back from the county and bought a watch for An Wen and his wife." Mei Shui also reported the gifts to her grandma. "Why did you buy that thing?" "It's very expensive." Grandma He felt a little distressed. "With this money, you might as well buy more delicious food yourself. I didn't give him a radio last time, so I thought I wouldn't let him feel disadvantaged. Besides, this watch is not expensive, only 80 yuan for 2. I bought it from his friend at An's." Mei Shui explained after hearing this. 80 yuan is not expensive. Grandma almost got furious when she heard this. "Can I get a refund for something so expensive?" "No matter how expensive you give her, she won't be able to give it back if you give it back for less than $100. You can't withdraw." Mei Shui smiled and shook her head. "Grandma, just treat it as a meeting gift for the newlyweds." She knew her grandma would be distressed, but she didn't intend to give it to her without telling her. "If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have given me so much tea money," Grandma said with a look of regret. Not only that, she also glared at Mei Shui. "You only have so much money to burn." In Grandma He's heart, Her family doesn't owe anyone anything, and she deserves what and when gave her. If you were to learn a skill from others, you wouldn't be able to learn it with only 300 yuan. Of course, she just thought about this in her heart and didn't say it with her mouth. Seeing the displeasure on her grandma's face, Mei Shui had no choice but to coax her until she was happy. After dinner, her grandma shut up and stopped mentioning the matter. As the wind outside became stronger and stronger, snow started to fall from the sky in the middle of the night. The snow came very suddenly, but it was time to snow. Xiaobai was the first to know that it was snowing. Master, master, it's snowing outside. It was late at night, maybe he was too excited, Xiaobai called in front of Mei Shui's bed. Fortunately, it can communicate with Mei Shui and does not express it with barking, otherwise grandma would definitely stew it. Don't make any noise, there's nothing strange about the snow. The snow she has seen is so heavy. Turning over, Mei Shui fell asleep again. After Xiaobai saw that his owner was not interested in snow, he also fell asleep next to the bed. The next day, Mei Shui was frightened and woke up by her grandmother's scream. What's wrong? Mei Shui sat up from the bed. Xiaobai was also frightened and woke up in the room. Master, open the door quickly, the house in the backyard is overwhelmed. Xiaobai is a demon after all, and its perception is much stronger than Mei Shui. Mai Xiu immediately got up from the bed, put on her clothes and opened the door. Grandma. Mei Shui ran directly to the back room. Mei Shui was also a little surprised when she saw that the roof of the house usually used to store firewood was crushed by snow. How much snow did it snow last night? Grandma, are you okay? Mei Shui hurriedly walked to her side and looked up and down. Grandma, he shook her head. When she touched Mei Shui's hand, she was startled and said, Xiaoxiu, go back to the house quickly and put on your clothes first. Grandma, please go back to the house first. I will clean up here later. Mei Shui held her grandma's hand and prevented her from touching anything in the house. Okay, I won't go. You go back to the house and get dressed. Grandma knew that Xiaoxiu was worried about going in, and she was not stupid. What if the snow fell again? She also has a great-grandchild. Seeing that grandma really didn't intend to go in, Mei Shui turned around and went back to the house to get dressed. Turning around, he said to Xiaobai, Xiaobai takes good care of grandma. Grandma, he glared at Mei Shui angrily, you can't believe dogs, but also grandma, when had she ever lied to her? The house at home collapsed, which made Mei Shui even more interested in rebuilding the house. This old house is old, and the main beams are a little crooked. I think the best materials were not used when repairing the house. Mei Shui became more and more worried about her house. Putting on her clothes as quickly as possible, Mei Shui came to the back room and saw her grandma sighing and talking to Xiaobai. She knew what her grandma was talking about without even thinking about it. Grandma, let's renovate our house after the Chinese New Year. Let's wait until we buy a mountain or something. Of course, if the money is not enough, she will repair the house first. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 138. Chapter 138, Gathering. It's time to repair it, but just renovate it? There is no need to renovate it again. She knew the money at home, so she couldn't spend it all. There must be some self-defense for the young couple. Grandma, don't worry about this. Leave it to me. The snow on the roof is too heavy and we can't stay here. You go to the kitchen first and I'll bring the firewood in later. Mei Shui knew that grandma got up so early to get firewood to cook breakfast. Sure, be careful. Just get some outside and don't go inside. Xiaoxiu was worried about herself, but she was also worried about Xiaoxiu. Okay, I know, it's cold outside. Grandma, please go inside quickly. Mei Shui pushed her grandma back to the kitchen. After sending grandma back to the house, Mei Shui went to the woodshed to carry back the firewood she would use in the morning, and then came over to see what was going on with the roof. There are many families in the village who are in a situation like theirs. Fortunately, the problem is not with the main house. Otherwise, the village will have a difficult time this year. The roof was broken because the materials used during construction were not that good, so it was broken by the weight of snow. The reason why I kept using it before was because it could still bear weight before, but now I am getting older and it is no longer useful. It is time to replace it. After breakfast, Grandma he put the fire in the fire box at home. She had no intention of going out to visit in such a cold weather. Zioxiu, don't stop the fire on the stove, just add 2 big firewood in, it will just cook the pig food, and you won't be afraid that the snow on the roof will collapse the kitchen. After all, I have a lot of experience, and I have my own way of dealing with snow on the roof. Oh, okay, I understand. May was so snowy that she wanted to go to the roof to shovel the snow off, but such a roof could not bear her weight. I'm afraid that the roof will collapse under her before the snow is shoveled down. It snowed heavily, and no one in the village came out to visit. Everyone was warming up at home. But there are some people who can't stay, such as Hian Liang and the others. Sister-in-law, are you at home? Third grandma, and Liang counted the time at home after breakfast. Fortunately, he was not the only one. When An Cheng came up to call him, and Liang couldn't stay any longer, told his mother and ran out. No, a few people met together. Who is it, Grandma? He was discussing with Mei Shui how to repair the house when she heard someone shouting outside. In fact, she knew who it was and she just responded casually. Mei Shui opened the door and saw a few people outside the courtyard. You are not afraid of the cold? The courtyard door was open, and Mei Shui let them in directly. Sister-in-law, have you eaten? And Liang was very happy to see his sister-in-law. Have you not eaten yet? Mei Shui asked as they approached. Sister-in-law, we have all eaten. Come inside quickly, it's cold outside. Seeing Li Shuang following behind her, Mei Shui smiled at her and said, if you are cold, go to the firebox. Grandma he also sat up from the firebox, where she was sitting just now. It's such a cold day and you're still running around outside, you're not afraid of the cold? Third grandma, several people shouted. Come up quickly, my family can't afford to pay if it's frozen, Grandma he said with a smile. And Liang was such an ungrateful person. Hearing what third grandma said, he took off his shoes and got on the firebox. Third grandma is so warm. Of course, I've been warm for a long time, Grandma he said with a smile. A group of people came to the house all of a sudden, and unlike just the two of them who were quiet just now, it suddenly became lively. Shuang is here too, come and sit. The third grandmother moved her buttocks and asked Li Shuang to sit over. Fortunately, the fireboxes in rural areas are large and can seat at least 4 or 5 people. The larger ones can seat 7 or 8 people, and the larger ones can be used as beds. Grandma He's house was built when He Zhengfeng got married. It is quite large and can accommodate 7 or 8 people without any problem. It just means that the fire needs to be burned a little more. 1 brazier for a small one, 2 for a large one. This is just for burning 2 pots. Before winter, Mei Swick and the villagers bought a lot of charcoal, enough to burn at home until spring. After everyone got on the firebox, Mei Shui turned around and went into Grandma's house and took out some melon seeds and peanuts. She brought these all back this time, and she bought a lot of them. There were also candies, but Mei Shui didn't take Grandma's milk candies, but fruit candies. Grandma really loves toffee, and she doesn't dare to make her unhappy. Do you want a drink of water, Grandma? He looked at both of them and asked. To put it bluntly, just ask her if anyone dares to ask for a drink. If anyone dares to ask for a drink, then Grandma he will definitely let him pour it himself, and by the way, he will also pour the water for others. Thank you, third grandma, I won't drink, Li Shuang said a little shyly. This is the second time she has come to the third grandma's house. The first time was the new daughter-in-law, and the second time is this time. Mei Shui not only went to her grandma's house to get melon seeds and peanut candies, but also went to the kitchen to get a bowl of spicy and sour made by her grandma. Come, you can eat. Mei Shui was rarely polite. Place the item on a high stool next to the firebox so that everyone can reach it. Like the Chinese New Year, there is still a lot of food in the countryside, but there are still many days before the Chinese New Year, so every household has not started to prepare. Thank you, sister-in-law, you are so kind. As soon as they saw the food, several people became excited. Wow, sister-in-law, these melon seeds are actually sweet and fragrant. Yes, these peanuts are all spiced. Sister-in-law, where did you buy them? These people made a lot of money following Mei Shui, and they were all willing to give up the delicious ones. I bought it in the town. There is a big market before the Chinese New Year. If you like it, go buy some and bring it back. It tastes pretty good, Mei Shui said with a smile. Sure, I'll definitely buy it, it's so delicious. He will definitely buy more this year, and Liang thought in his mind. I want to buy it too, I want to buy it too, and Cheng also shouted. On Anshan's part, he didn't say much, but his movements were not slow. It wasn't that he was reluctant to part with it, but that he didn't have much money. His father took all the money he made from selling fish, but fortunately he hid it a little bit the second time and the third time. Otherwise he wouldn't have a penny on his hands. His father's original words were that his brother was getting older and Anwen was already married, so the family needed to save some money for his brother to find a wife. What else could he say, that he would not use the money to buy his brother a wife? If he dared to say it, his father would definitely beat him to death. Anwen looked at his wife the whole time and left everything at home to her. She would buy whatever she asked. Well, it's delicious, let's buy some during the Chinese New Year. Li Shuang also happily agreed. You can eat more if you like it, Grandma. He looked at the group of little guys with a loving look on her face. Let's do this. Let's all go together during the big market and buy more, and Cheng said with excitement. Updates have started to be added at the end of the week. Please vote quickly. From now on, an update will be added every weekend. Thank you to those who voted and gave rewards. I love you. End of this chapter. 80s, the farmer's wife is the boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 139. Chapter 139, The Jealous Man Returns. The conditions of their family are not that good. There are delicious ones like this every year, but there are not many, and the taste is not as good as the ones my sister-in-law bought. For example, peanuts are grown and fried at home, so it is obvious that the taste is not as good as the ones bought. And Liang glanced at Anshan, but he didn't say much. Grandma, he took note of everyone's demos. She also heard 11 Lian and the others say something about Anshan, and she also understood what he Zhengting meant. It's understandable, but there are very few people who don't worry about their youngest son. Okay, you all go buy it then and let your sister-in-law tell you which store you bought it from. Mei Shui didn't hide it and told them. After talking and laughing for a while, Mei Shui went to the house and took out the 2 electronic watches. Anwen Shuang, this is a wedding gift for you. Mei Shui handed it over and said with a smile. As soon as he saw such a well-packaged box, Anwen didn't dare to step forward and take it. He glanced at his wife and saw that she took it generously. When he was about to say something, Grandma, he stared back. Don't worry, I'll have them when you get married, don't be jealous, Grandma, he immediately added after seeing the children focusing on their watches. It's never a good idea to give one. You still have to talk about the situation. I don't know how many years have passed by the time they get married, it's too early. Li Shuang was so generous that Mei Shui glanced at her and said, this red piece is for you, take it with you and try it. After spending time with everyone, Mei Shui became even more smoky. It was rare for Xiaobai to see his master's face change, but he glanced at it and then continued to eat his candy. It was so delicious and sweet. Well, thank you sister-in-law, thank you grandma. She knew that her sister-in-law must have returned such a heavy gift because of the radio incident last time. It is good to keep some feelings in your heart, not to say them with your mouth. An Wen couldn't wait to take apart his own watch. The blue one was so beautiful. And Liang was jealous. He immediately grabbed it before An Wen could take it. Brother An Wen, please take it with me and try it. His temperament is fortunate to be like this in front of his own family, otherwise he would be really unpopular. Mei Shui slapped An Liang angrily. I'll give you a piece of it when you get into college. This belongs to An Wen, so give it back to him. She didn't like him. An Liang felt aggrieved by the beating and said, Sister-in-law, you are so cruel. However, he was obedient and returned the watch. Everyone immediately became happy when they saw that he was so aggrieved. Haha, yes. Even if you don't want to steal other people's wedding gifts. An Shen and An Cheng also owe money. So An Liang and the others started making trouble. Don't mention it, it looks really good when you wear it. The electronic watch is not a clock watch. The numbers are directly displayed on it and can be understood at a glance. Sister-in-law is so beautiful. Li Shuang liked it very much. Thank you, sister-in-law. You're welcome. Just live a good life with An Wen. He's a bit stuffy, but he has a good heart. It was rare for Mei Shui to say a few kind words about An Wen, and she often scolded him for being stupid. Li Shuang has been married for a long time and has long understood what kind of person his man is. Being able to be praised by his sister-in-law shows how down-to-earth he is. Sister-in-law, don't worry, it was brother An Wen who saved my life. Not only am I grateful to him, I'm also, Li Shuang, who was behind, became shy. Grandma, he glared at An Wen, what a good girl, you ruined her like this. Well, as soon as these words came out, An Wen went crazy. Third grandma. Mei Shui was also happy. What grandma said, grandma is right. Even if grandma farts, Mei Shui thinks it smells good. As a result, An Wen was accused of ruining his wife. Okay, stop talking, we are both embarrassed. In the end, An Wen relieved his wife's embarrassment. I know you feel sorry for my sister-in-law, brother An Wen, please don't hold my sister-in-law's hand, we are still here. And Liangpi felt itchy again. After having fun for a while, Mei Shui asked them about plum wine. The ones they brewed have not been sold yet, and Mei Shui was afraid that they would get it wrong. Sell your wine to the boss this time when he comes. I don't think there will be enough wine in his shop. And Liang and An Wen nodded immediately after hearing this. I listened to my sister-in-law. There is actually nothing to do in the countryside in winter, so everyone just hides at home and takes some time off. After Li Shuang passed by the door twice last time, he would come to talk to Grandma He and Mei Shui from time to time. It's a very leisurely time when I'm young. When Labo Festival arrives, every household starts to get busy. Meixiu and Grandma He also tidied up their homes and started preparing New Year supplies. Mei Shui has been learning these things from her grandmother, such as cleaning bacon, making candy wrappers, making rice, etc. Don't say it, it's no worse than the New Year food bought outside. In such an era, there would be great restrictions on food, and it was not as prosperous as in later generations. Of course, it was not much different from Mei Shui's world. There was no such thing as New Year's Eve back then. Winter is a more dangerous season than summer. Food is scarce, monsters are increasing, and the number of people in various places has also dropped sharply, and everyone is in danger. Fortunately, there are no such monsters in this era. Even if the food is not good, it is better than safety. Hians also rushed back from the county town. He happened to meet Boss Jian coming to collect vegetables, so he took Boss Jian's car and entered the village together. Boss Jian didn't come in person this time. Because the store was busy during the Chinese New Year, he asked a clerk from the store, who was also a member of his family, to come. I feel very relieved. Grandma He, Sister-in-law Hian, this is a New Year gift that the boss Zhao and Uncle Shi asked me to bring together. The family is busy and they said they would come to see the old lady after the spring. The guy is sweet-tongued and can make Grandma He laugh with just a few words. Meixiu and Hians went to the back mountain to pick vegetables. When Anliang and the others knew that Boss Jian was coming to collect vegetables, they all ran over to help. It didn't take long to collect all the vegetables in the field. A cart full of people was pulled away by a man. Of course, the wine made by Anliang and the others was also taken away. The price was not low. Maybe during the Chinese New Year, plum wine was a rare thing, so it was a little higher than before. After sending away the people bringing food, Mei Shui also left An Liang and the others to have dinner at home. These people didn't know the meaning of being polite at all. I only know that the food at my third grandma's house is much more delicious than my own. Hians looked jealous. Daughter-in-law, why do you leave them at home to eat? He himself hadn't eaten Xiaoxiu's food for a long time. Looking at this man who was getting more and more clingy, Mei Shui pushed away his disruptive hand and said, "Why don't you save a meal for helping me?" She rolled her eyes at him. "Can't we just leave it tomorrow? He just came back today." Trouble. Mei Shui glared at Hians angrily. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 140. Chapter 140, The Village Chief also has plans. Additional update. In the end, Grandma He couldn't stand it anymore and took her grandson away. The dinner was very sumptuous, no worse than the New Year's Eve dinner, and the 7 of us had a great time. After everyone left, Hians began to think casually, did Xiaoxiu miss me? Daughter-in-law, do you miss me? Shui, you are so beautiful. Daughter-in-law, you are mine. Hee, this man drank too much. That's right, the wine at home is also good. Grandma will drink a glass of it on weekdays. Mei Shui doesn't make much wine and doesn't sell it, so she keeps it at home to drink. How could I not drink to my heart's content after being caught by them today? So they all got drunk. Fortunately, my home is not far away. I was taken back by my family members as soon as I called. Xiaoxiu, Ans is drunk. You should quickly go back to the house and let Grandma teach you the things here. Grandma, he said with a smile. Mei Shui felt a little embarrassed as she said this man needs to be dealt with. Grandma left it to be collected tomorrow morning. It's getting late, so you can go to bed. How could she be willing to let her grandma do these tasks? Of course, she should let this man who rarely comes back do it. Perhaps she is close to her, because Mei Shui no longer regards Hians as an outsider. It's okay, Grandma is really tired after a busy day. Grandma didn't compete with Mei Shui. She knew that if she didn't go to rest, Xiaoxiu would finish this matter. He glanced at his unlucky grandson and said, forget it, I hope I can get pregnant this time. Last time she came back from the county town, Grandma he kept staring at Mei Shui's belly, but unfortunately she made no progress at all, and finally it turned red. Is Hians really drunk? Ah! Man! Mei Shui took Hians back to the house to wash up. It was such a winter that she would be chilled to death if she took a shower outside. So, what happened next happened normally. Fortunately, Hians is still relatively pure, and there are no fancy ways of playing. After a night of tossing, Hians got up obediently the next day to clean up the mess from last night. When Mei Shui woke up, she happened to see Hians come in and ask her to get up for dinner. She glared at him angrily and muttered, it's best if you can get me pregnant. Hey, after hearing this, Hians quit and said, daughter-in-law, I can't just do this by myself. How about you try to do it tonight? Rogue. After a cheerful breakfast, the three of them began to discuss the decoration of the home. Mei Shui had not celebrated the Chinese New Year, so she listened to her grandma in everything. Hians listened to his wife in everything, and in the end, everyone in the family listened to grandma. Posting couplets, gluing window grills, etc., it took 2 days to finish them all, just waiting for the New Year bell to ring. By the way, I told you last time about buying the back mountain. Do you want to go to the village chief's house and ask? This matter is what Mei Shui cares about the most. She really wanted to go by herself, but there was some trouble. It would be better if Hians came forward. Tomorrow will be New Year's Eve. When Mei Shui mentioned it at this time, she wanted to let Hians get things done today. Sure, I'll go to pay homage to the village chief later. Do you want to go with me? Hians had always been concerned about this matter. After thinking for a moment, Mei Shui finally shook her head. I'll stay with grandma at home. I also need to bake meat and wash pig heads. Grandma can't do it alone. She couldn't bear to let her grandma work so hard alone. Okay, let me bring something over. Hians did not force Mei Shui. Hians brought some fruit candies with him. He really wanted to touch the toffee, but his wife slapped him away. This is what grandma eats. There are also 4 bottles of canned food. These are frozen to death. Grandma doesn't like eating them and has a toothache. With some rock candy wrapped in it, it can be regarded as the best New Year gift in the village. The village chief's family lives in the brigade. When Hians was carrying things to the village chief's house, many people saw him on the road. When everyone asked him why he was going, Hians didn't hide anything and just said he was going to pay New Year's greetings to the village chief. This is not unusual. When the village has some conditions or needs something from the village chief, he will come to the door with something. Everyone started talking as they looked at the back of Hians leaving. Why do you think Hians is looking for the village chief? Who knows? When Hians arrived at the village chief's house, the village chief's aunt was killing chickens with her daughter-in-law. Hey, my aunt is killing a chicken. Hians opened the door and walked in. I'm so willing to give up such a big rooster. Haha, it's Ans here. Come and sit in the house and find your uncle. He's in the house. The village chief's aunt looked at the person and laughed. Hey, thank you, and of course, Hians also called the sister-in-law next to the village chief's aunt. Entering the main hall of the village chief's house, there were quite a few people inside, all of whom were juniors in the village. I think I came here to pay New Year greetings to the village chief in advance. Everyone is here. Happy New Year to the village chief. Hians greeted everyone in the room as he walked in, and handed the things to the village chief. Ans is here. It's winter. What do you want to do here? The village chief stood up with a smile and took the things from Hians's hand. I didn't want to come over to annoy my uncle's house because there were so many guests during the Chinese New Year, so I thought of coming to pay my respects in the early years, but I didn't expect that. All the elder brothers and younger brothers were earlier than me. Hians knows these people, they are all descendants of the village chief, and they have nothing bad to say. Your mouth is just like your grandma's now. Do you want some tea? You have to pour it yourself, the village chief said with a smile. I'm not allowed to drink a cup of tea. I haven't drunk the tea from the village chief's uncle's house yet. Hians has worked for so long, and he has become more diplomatic. Everyone made a joke. After chatting and laughing for a while, the village chief asked about business. Ans, did you come to see my uncle for something? If you have something to do, just tell me. If you can help me, I will definitely help you. He still likes his grandson from his third aunt's family very much. That's a good relationship. I really want to ask Uncle England for a favor. This person becomes closer when he asks for help. What's the matter? Tell me, if I can help you, I will definitely help you. The village chief was also not polite. No, the mountains in my house are a bit far away from the land. My wife likes farming, and my grandma is old and can't walk, so I thought about buying the idle mountain behind the house. Uncle, you can this be done? Everyone was shocked when they heard this. No one in the village had ever bought a mountain before. However, some people had sold the mountain before, but not to individuals. They all sold it back to the village. His England's ability to become the village chief proves that he is quite capable. Of course he also knows a thing or two about the big and small things in the village. Your wife is very capable. There is no daughter-in-law in the village who is more capable than her. He understood what Hians meant. But he cannot make the decision alone about the things in this village. If he really wants to sell them to him, the price will not be cheap. Of course, I won't trick him. Thank you again to all the babies who voted. The author loves you. End of this chapter. 80s, the farmer's wife is the boss. Author, village girl in city. Chapter 141. Chapter 141, Buying a Base. Hians also understood the meaning of the village chief's words. No matter how hard-working you are, you still earn hard-earned money. How could there be such good news outside? My wife spends all day soaking in the fields and has lost a lot of weight. Whatever work you do now is not hard, as long as you can make money. Your wife is great, she takes good care of the family. The village chief also had to praise Migsu. Anyone can make this money, but it will be more difficult for the first time. Hians felt that the village chief was a difficult person to deal with. That's what I say, but no one can find the boss who collects the vegetables. If I go out of the village and sell them at the price, I really can't support a family. The village chief is also suffering. Half of the people sitting next to the village chief understood what the village chief meant, and all of them looked at Hians with bright eyes. This is not a big problem, if the bosses take it seriously. Hians was not convinced. Besides, it was his business. If he didn't like it, it was none of his business. It's easy to talk about. As long as your wife is willing, everyone in the village will be grateful. The village chief also breathed a sigh of relief. Everyone has seen the changes in Hilao-san's family, and everyone is very envious. Some envious people are spreading rumors in the village. If the third aunt hadn't been so powerful, I would have come. Okay, let's talk about your back mountain. After the village chief got the result he wanted, he started to get down to business. If that's the case, then sell me all the mountains behind my house. Hians asked Xiaoxiu what he meant last night. He was also shocked when he learned that she wanted the 3 hills behind the house. However, he would get everything his wife wanted back for her, even if the money was paid for by the daughter-in-law herself. Such a big deal. This shocked those people. Hians shook his head. My house was crushed when it snowed earlier. I thought I would buy more so that I could repair the house. After a while, he went to Brother Qing's house to ask. The land next to his house belongs to Brother Qing's house, but he doesn't plan to build a house on the hillside, so it's a good idea to buy it. The village chief calculated that the mountain had nothing to produce, and it would not be a loss if he sold it. I will give you the answer after the Chinese New Year, but I can't make the decision now. There is also a secretary in the village, so I need to communicate with them. Sure, then Uncle Zinglin, I will go back first. Tomorrow will be 30, and there are still many things to do at home. After receiving the permission, Hians did not intend to stay any longer. Sure, I'll take you out. It's a big family. After Hians left, everyone in the village chief's family became excited. Will those bosses come to collect our food? That is, if you sow too much, what will people do next? Isn't that a loss? If you lose money, you won't lose money. At worst, if you sell it in a big market, you won't lose money. It's just that people have to work harder. Some people who are smart have ideas in their minds, but they don't say much for a while. When the village chief came back, everyone stopped talking. The village chief glanced at them and sighed, "Do you all understand? I never imagined that Hian's family would be so successful. Uncle, do you want us to grow vegetables?" "Yes, Uncle, do you think the bosses will want the vegetables we grow? If the vegetables at the market cost only 1 or 2 cents, will they spend 50 cents to harvest them?" The village chief looked at these juniors and sighed in his heart, why is such a powerful wife not from his family? Okay, okay, don't make any noise, it gives you a headache. If you want to plant seeds, just establish a good relationship with the third aunt's family. When the time comes, ask your third grandma. Getting a little advice can last for a year. Yes, we understand. No matter what the village chief's plan was, Hians turned around and went directly to Brother Qing's house. Hianqing is older than Hians and the others, but he is younger, so people of his generation call him brother. Hians went empty-handed without any embarrassment. People in the village didn't pay attention to this when visiting. Is Brother Qing at home? Hianqing is married. He lives with his wife and his parents live with his eldest brother. The family's conditions are average, and they usually make a living by chopping wood and growing vegetables and land. Who is it? I was busy today, and I didn't expect someone to come to my door. Hianqing's wife opened the door. It's An's here, come in quickly. Happy Chinese New Year, sister-in-law, is Brother Qing at home? Hians walked into the yard and asked with a smile. Hianqing's daughter-in-law seems to be only about 30 years old, and she is very kind-hearted. Who's here? Hianqing walked out of the kitchen. There was still some unmelted snow on the ground. It's An's. As soon as he came out and saw the people entering the yard, Hianqing immediately laughed. Brother Qing Hians was also very happy to see Hianqing. Have a good New Year. Okay, 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 come in quickly, it's cold outside. The conditions at Hianqing's home were average, and there were very few letters from people on weekdays. Now of course he was very happy to see Hians coming. In the past, it was because there were not many people coming and going here, so he built a base in the middle of the mountain. But there were reasons why he didn't stay there in the end. Brother Qing is making something delicious. The Chinese New Year is tomorrow, and I can smell the aroma. Hians was not at all restrained. What else is delicious? I just washed 2 pieces of bacon and a pig head for burning incense. I will have to send a piece to your mother-in-law later, Hianqing said helplessly. The conditions at home are like this. At the end of the year, we can have a full meal during the Chinese New Year. It's nothing to him, he just hurts the child and the child's mother. Mother, I still need your meat. It's because of your filial piety, why not invite me over for a meal? Hians also knew something about this matter. However, don't talk too much about other people's affairs. Haha, it's good to send it away when we get home, we'll make trouble for your sister-in-law again. He also wanted to have a good year. At this time, Hianqing's wife brought out a bowl of sour and a cup of tea from the kitchen. Ans, come and eat some and drink some tea to warm yourself up. She heard what the man said. Over the years, she was used to her mother-in-law causing trouble for her from time to time. Why is she not as capable as her sister-in-law? Her mother's family is very confident. Thank you, sister-in-law. Hians took it over unceremoniously. If you are too polite, it will make the host uncomfortable and say, by the way, Brother Qing, I came to you to discuss something with you. What's the matter? Hianqing was a little confused. If there was anything he could do to help Ans, I'll help if I can. It's not a big deal. Didn't you build a base next to my house back then? Several rooms of my house were destroyed when it snowed. I just want to ask, do you still need to use that base? This can save a lot of things. Please give me a vote, thank you. Asking for recommendation votes, monthly votes, and rewards. End of this chapter.